The debate hall was electric, even before the moment arrived. Cameras flashed, moderators shuffled their papers, and the crowd buzzed with the expectant energy of political theatre. But no one in that room, no one watching from their living rooms, across America, could have predicted what Karoline Leavitt would say next. Leaning forward with a smirk that seemed rehearsed, she looked straight at Kash Patel, her voice sharp and cutting through the air like glass. "Why don't you just go back to India?" The words landed like a thunderclap. Gasps rippled across the audience. Some jaws dropped. Others shook their heads in disbelief. A young man in the front row instinctively covered his mouth, unable to believe he'd just heard a political candidate hurl such an open, xenophobic insult in the year 2025, broadcast live on national television. The moderator froze, clearly stunned, while the cameras zoomed in on Patel's face. For a split second, time seemed suspended. The sound of the insult echoed in the silence, each syllable hanging heavier than the last. America's living rooms fell into that same silence. Millions of viewers locked onto their screens, waiting for the next move. Leavitt sat back in her chair, her grin widening, as though she had just delivered a knockout blow. To her, this was a moment of triumph, an attack designed to humiliate, to remind Patel of his otherness, to reduce years of public service into nothing more than ancestry. But what she didn't see, and what America was about to witness, was that her attempt at domination would not land the way she intended. In fact, it would do the opposite. Patel did not flinch. His eyes narrowed ever so slightly. Not in anger, but in calm recognition. He let the silence linger. The audience could feel it, the anticipation, the electricity of knowing something was about to happen. His stillness became power. His composure turned the insult into a mirror, reflecting back on its speaker. And then he leaned forward, about to deliver a response that would travel far beyond that debate stage, into the veins of a country still grappling with questions of identity, belonging, and dignity. What came next wasn't anger. It wasn't outrage. It was something no one expected, and it would leave America speechless. Moments like these don't happen in a vacuum. They pierce the surface of American politics because they tap into something deeper, something raw that lives in the national psyche. Karoline Leavitt's words weren't just an insult hurled at one man. They were a weapon aimed at the millions of Americans who carry an immigrant story in their veins. The children of factory workers, the grandchildren of farmhands, the families who packed their dreams into suitcases and came to this country believing in its promise. All of them heard that insult as if it were directed at them. For decades, immigration has been twisted into a wedge issue, used not as a source of pride, but as a political bludgeon. Politicians have found easy applause in scapegoating those who look or sound different. But rarely, if ever, has the mask slipped so brazenly, so shamelessly, in front of a national audience. Leavitt's attack wasn't coded language or subtle dog whistles. It was a blunt command dripping with disdain. You don't belong here. That's why the silence in the debate hall was so thick, why the air seemed to vibrate. People understood instantly that this wasn't just another petty political jab. This was a test of what kind of America we are willing to be in 2025, and look closer at Karoline herself. This was not the cool calculation of a seasoned stateswoman. This was the recklessness of someone desperate for a viral moment, someone who believed shock value could substitute for substance. Her smirk said it all. She thought she had scored points. She thought she had put Patel in his place. She thought cruelty was clever, but arrogance often blinds those who wield it. In trying to belittle, she revealed her own insecurity. In reaching for the lowest blow, she exposed how little she had to stand on. This wasn't strength. This was desperation masquerading as bravado. Across the country, immigrant families watching at home felt their stomachs twist. They recognized that look, that tone, that dismissive cruelty. It was the same one they had faced at schoolyards, workplaces, airports, grocery stores. They knew what Patel was up against because, in their own way, they had all been there before. And at that moment, they leaned in closer to their screens, willing him to answer in a way they wished they could have answered back in those moments of humiliation. The weight on Patel's shoulders was enormous. He wasn't just responding for himself. He was responding for them. For every person who has ever been told they don't belong in the only country they've ever known. For every American whose loyalty has been questioned because of the color of their skin or the sound of their name. And that's why the next words mattered so much. Because they would not only define Patel's character, they would reflect the values of a nation still deciding who gets to claim the mantle of Americanness. Karoline thought she had delivered a killing blow, but what she didn't realize was that her arrogance had set the stage for one of the most powerful counterpunches in recent memory.